morning, good afternoon, good evening. President Emerson Mnangagwa has just launched the Women Empowerment Fund, in which is giving away 3 million plus other things. He launched this program at the in Harare yesterday at the conference center, former Sheraton Conference Center. And at the end of the day, he was going to hand out that fleet of vehicles to some of the women's league. What some people don't understand is this is not money from the Ministry of Women's League, of Women's Affairs. In other words, it's not coming from the Minister of Finance in the formal way that it was part of the budget produced by the Minister of Finance and will be subject to the same rigors of being approved by MPs in Parliament. And then how the money is spent is subject to the Auditor General. It's not. This is monies that Mnangagwa has. And he spends it. It's not audited, nothing. This actually is just another way of looting. Because the logical question is, how did he get the money? So this is the problem. What we are witnessing here is just another version of looting, or rather justifying the continued looting of the nation's resources. Let's start by asking ourselves, where did Mnangagwa, where is he getting all this money? Because this is not the first time he's giving away with these presidential funding schemes. He has given some for the war veterans. He has given some for many other groups. Where is he getting the money? Ben, welcome to the program.
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. It's worrying that, this whole mess is a never-ending roller coaster ride. The level of spending, the level of corruption in Zimbabwe, you would think, I think we have reached the peak of it, and then we go and scale even higher. The question you asked is, where are they getting all these funds? We know Zimbabwe is not doing well economically. We are up to our necks in debt. We owe so many, the IMF, the Chinese, Africa Bank, and we are failing to pay all these, loans. But here we are, we can afford all these luxuries and so many schemes. You mentioned those are just the few. I think ever since Mnangagwa came into office, he's been scheming everything. The Mawindis, everything, you name it, he schemed it. And he's empowering, he's saying he's empowering, but we all know that Zimbabweans are living in abject poverty.
EasyJet's big orange sale is now on.
Sorry, Ben, go ahead.
The question is, where is this here money coming from? And the most logical explanation that comes up is the documentary that came, from Al Jazeera, the one that was titled The Gold Mafia, where it explicitly outlines the money flow of illicit gold dealings. That is the only, logical explanation to it. Let's take a few minutes just to listen to it.
Okay, sorry about that.
President Mnangagwa appointed Angel to one of the country's highest diplomatic posts.
He is my to promote Zimbabwe brand. We had to subject this young man to training in diplomacy. It's difficult to train a prophet. We were surprised that he did well.
Ambassador at large, I'm ambassador to 85 countries, but on the special envoy, I'm a representative of the president.
You are representing the president.
Yeah. So if you then look on paper on that position, I'm number 2. And there's no position like that in the country. It was just one position that was never filled in. And
it's created for you.
Yeah, it was created.
So one and only one.
Miss Sin is another undercover reporter. She's posing as Mr. Stanley's financial advisor.
We are the government.
Yeah. That's right.
So I can call the president now, not tomorrow, now, and put him on speaker. It's not an issue. The president's trying to create a legacy right now. Yeah. So it is the right time to strike now and go like we're in.
Angel claims to foretell the destiny of Africa's leaders.
4 days before the Ghana presidential elections, Prophet Hubert Angel gave the word of the Lord, declaring the outcome.
No, it's not the rejection of Muhammad, but he that is called Adonai shall remain in power.
And you want to know what will happen in the election in Zimbabwe? How many times have I spoken about it? All I'm saying is don't...
Mnangagwa's win in 2018 is known in advance.
Political parties.
There's no point supporting the opposition.
Don't waste your time wearing all these t-shirts and regalia and meeting people at these conferences and these meetings. Just concentrate on Jesus. You waste your time.
Mnangagwa will also win Zimbabwe's next election. The deal to launder Mr. Stanley's money is safe.
Okay, let me just say, don't worry.
Yeah.
President. This president will be president until he dies.
Well, he was right there. When it comes to elections, ZANU-PF has never had any problems because they rig elections. That is at the heart of it. But in terms of corruption, this documentary, one of the things that they revealed is how money, our gold, Zimbabwe's gold, is being looted. The guys who are responsible for smuggling it out of the country, they don't keep any records at all. They get a certificate, a license, saying you're allowed to export gold. They use the same license over and over again. It's never endorsed to say, today you took out 20 kgs, and then on such and such a date you took another 20 kgs or whatever. There is no record. This is what makes it so difficult. If one was to listen to this documentary, Hubert Angel goes on to talk of Mnangagwa as number one. He is sitting at the apex of this whole gold mafia. He may be sitting at the apex, but what he's actually getting is a fraction of the true value of the gold that is being exported. Because the individuals who are exporting it, in one of the videos, they showed the individuals going by plane from Harare to the Middle East. And when they get to the airport, they don't even get out. They come back with the same return flight with another suitcase of money. They don't get out at Harare International Airport. Somebody missed them there with another suitcase full of gold, and they can make as many as 3 or 4 trips a day. No record is kept. What they declare is what they declare. And so if they declare that they exported 50 kgs, when in reality they went to Dubai 4 times, and each time with a 50 kg weight of gold, who is to say no? So in other words, the looting, because there's no record being kept, is worse than what it is. What the people know, what the individuals know about what is being looted is a fraction. So the 3 million that Mnangagwa is boasting here that he's giving away to the women for women empowerment, how much did the nation pay to the looters? It could be as much as 100 times, 1,000 times. This is the problem with the looting. Looting under Robert Mugabe was bad. Under Mnangagwa, it is accelerated. That is where our problem is. At the present moment, under Mugabe, the looting was confined mostly to diamonds. But ever since Mnangagwa took over, it has been extended to gold, lithium, platinum. There have been reports of trucks crossing the border at Forbes to the Mozambique ports, full of minerals, tons of minerals. How much are we getting for it? A fraction of the true value of those minerals. And then he brings the money, the 3 million, and he shows it around and gives it around with all the usual song and dance. And people think, oh, we are doing well. We are not doing well. As long as there is no record of how much we have sold and how much we are getting, this is just another version of looting, and the money is wasted. The other aspect I would like to talk about is that the recipient, those who are receiving these funds are wasting it. Ben, do you want to pick up on that one?
You know, it's really sad that a lot of people, you know, do not take the time or do not seem to understand, you know, the effort that has been put by, you know, organizations like Al Jazeera to give us this information. Very useful information that actually gives us a, you know, what is happening in our country, the level of corruption that we have reached. And like you said, we are not just talking of diamonds and gold now. We are talking about almost, a different variety of minerals that are moving out of the country, some in the dead of the night, some covered up, it's in overdrive. Mnangagwa's Second Republic or regime has taken corruption to another level. And, there seems to be no stopping it. On the local front, they have what they call the Shiganandas. These are doing the dirty jobs within Zimbabwe. Then they have, the ones described in the gold mafia documentary that have taken it to international, spaces. There is no stopping them because we as a people have failed to act upon the evidence that we have been given. We have remained quiet despite us having evidence and facts to prove the amount of corruption that is going within the one country. It's just ridiculous.
Well, one of the other aspects here is that these cars that are being given, donated, millions of dollars are spent buying cars, particularly when it comes to buying cars. We saw in one of the pictures there, Chivhayo, Wicknell Chivhayo, who is one of Mnangagwa's cronies, and he is in the habit of buying very expensive cars for various individuals with clearance from Mnangagwa. We have got a situation where some of the hospitals do not have medicine. Our schools are in a sorry state because of decades of poor investment. It is ridiculous that a nation like that should be spending millions of dollars on expensive cars. But the reason for it is very simple. When you're looking at spending money on roads, schools, healthcare, and so forth, of national interest, those are not going to make Mnangagwa popular. That's why he's not spending money in those things. What we are facing here is a situation where Mnangagwa is looking at his own personal popularity. And the glory of Caesar is now trumped the good of Rome, the good of the Commonwealth. And this is a contest that we have got to realize we are bound to lose. Economic development comes from putting emphasis on the good of the country as contrast to the glory of the individual. And in Zimbabwe, we really have got the whole thing back to front. Our priorities are completely warped. We are not driving the nation's economic development by splashing money on expensive trinkets for the few. And invariably, the same individuals who are getting cars now, if one was to trace their history, will find they benefited from other projects. And when they got the money, they never used it, they wasted it, and they are back again to benefit from another scheme. And this is just an ongoing thing. The real people at the bottom are not benefiting. In his speech, apparently, at this women's donation, Mnangagwa was boasting of he is trying to help women to economically grow, empower them, and fighting against the ill effects of the sanctions and climate change. The truth of the matter is that is not true. Take, for instance, if we look at women, how many women in Zimbabwe are teachers and nurses? They are economically empowered. They are poor today because of the decades of poor wages. Nothing to do with sanctions. Nothing to do with climate change. And I can tell you, those are the women who need economic empowerment, and they are not getting it. The 3 million will never reach the majority of those women who are in need. The majority of the beneficiaries of these schemes are those women who are seen to be promoting Mnangagwa's political ambitions. This is the level of waste that we see in Zimbabwe. And we keep recycling it over and over again. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe.
In a country where the majority are living under, just underneath $1 per day, it is very, very absurd to find out that the government has been buying so many cars. I think within a year, the total number of cars being bought for so many schemes are ridiculous. And in a country where the number of ambulances that we have that are servicing, let's talk about the major hospitals. Some major hospitals don't even have an ambulance. But we have money to buy for these leagues and provinces and so forth. One has to question who the reason behind all this and the priorities, how they are aligned to the masses that are suffering. The good word that the Gold Mafia documentary used was for money laundering was how Zimbabwe washes a washing machine, how they wash dirty money and bring it back into circulation. These are the same individuals that are stealing from us blind. And then they come back and do a little PR with the change that they have decided to give our way. And we sing songs of praise, and we are very thankful to them. The truth is, Zanu PF is a corrupt government. They are responsible for all the failings that we are seeing today within the Zimbabwean economy. They have looted everything that you could think of. You know, you can look at wherever it's profitable, ZANU PF has a hand in it. They have their henchmen in it. And I must agree, you know, the level of corruption, you can never have any meaningful development. No matter how many schemes you come up with, they have all sunk because the level of corruption is from the top right to the bottom. Everybody is stealing as the money flows. By the time it gets to the person, if it gets, because like I said, 90% of the people in Zimbabwe right now are living underneath $1 a day. So you may buy 10 cars and 20 cars and share $20,000 amongst millions. It does not help in any way. And this is why you find Zimbabwe is a failed state. There is no development whatsoever. There is no growth. And above all, there is no light at the end of the tunnel right now. Zimbabwe is sinking deeper and deeper into the unknown. This is sad, but this is reality.
My closing remarks will have to be, what is the way forward? Well, as long as ZANU PF is able to rig elections and stay in power, there will be no meaningful change in Zimbabwe. And at the present moment, the corruption we're talking about is the source of the money that has enabled Mnangagwa to corrupt all those involved in the election process. In an earlier video, we talked about how, or we played a video of Professor Jonathan Moyo saying how elections are rigged in Zimbabwe, how the President ZEC only rubber stamps the results. In the picture there, we show Mnangagwa talking to the ZEC official, and she's telling him, yes, Mr. President, would you like to see the results of the elections? This is the truth. The level of corruption, the level of rigging in Zimbabwe is such that the results are known in advance. And as long as ZANU PF is able to rig elections and stay in power, the corruption and the looting will continue. And they will keep on giving all these other funds, suggesting that they're helping everybody, uplifting everybody, when in reality they're just dragging the whole nation deeper and deeper into the abyss. Until we have free, fair, and credible elections, there will be corruption. We can finally stop ZANU PF rigging the elections if we have the mind to it. We have been playing our part in helping ZANU PF stay in power by participating in flawed elections, so flawed, we already know the results in advance. And we also know that if we participate in such a flawed process, we give it legitimacy. And that's exactly what we've been doing. The message between now, the task between now and 2028 would be to educate Zimbabweans so that they realize that participating in flawed elections will only give ZANU-PF legitimacy and perpetuate the dictatorship. This will be our number one message to the people of Zimbabwe on this platform. And I'm sure we'll be visiting it again and again and try to hammer that message home. Do not participate in flawed elections to give ZANU-PF legitimacy. We will come back to that topic and deal with it. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you'll be able to do it again tomorrow. Good night.